have Ambassador R. Vishwanathan sir. Sir is from 81 batch Indian Foreign Service, and he served more than a decade in Latin American countries. He is the one of the very few key resource persons in the country to address issues related to Latin American affairs. And Sir is one of the visiting faculty to Foreign Service Institute. There is a training institute right now. It is Swaraj, Sushma Swaraj Institute for Foreign Service. So Sir is one of the visiting faculty there, which is a training academy for IFS probationers. So today Sir visited Chennai, and we requested him for guest lecture. For your batch, almost for a long time, guest lecture is not introduced. And Sir is a great motivator. And Sir is basically from near Trichy, a small village. And he's expert in Latin American affairs. But today you have a general interaction. After that, if you have any question related to foreign policy and other things, you can ask. So thank you, sir, for accepting the invitation.
All right. I think, sorry.
Yes,
I think it's gone off. Sorry. Good morning. You hear me? Okay. Today is Monday in the month of Margari. You remember the song? Margari Tingal Madinirainda Nannal. Margari is supposed to be the most sacred month in the Tamil calendar. It is the most auspicious month among the 12 months in Tamil calendar. But that's for old people, pious, devoted. But for you young people, there is another song. Madangalil avar Margari. Madangalil aval Margari. Malargalile aval Mallihai. Kalangalil aval Vasandam. Kalegalile aval Oviyam. Madangalil aval Margari. So I hope this month of Margari adds a bit of romance, adds some cheer to a spirit, the spirit of preparations for this civil service exam. Now, spirit is more important than your capacity, your skills, hard work, or intelligence. I can, I can, CAN, is more important than IQ. You know what is IQ? Intelligence quotient. IQ can take you from here to here, but I can, the spirit, can take you like a rocket to the sky and touch the moon. So the spirit is the basic requirement for success for ambitious people. It makes a big difference. For example, in your preparations, two of you have reached the same level of preparations. So let's say about 50% of the requirement. That would be like a glass half full, since you have done preparations for 50%. So when you see a glass with half full water, one person looks at it and says, oh, it's half full. Not bad. you get confidence, you're optimistic. The other person looks at the upper half, empty. Half the glass is empty. So you're anxious, you're worried, you're a bit pessimistic. See how the same reality, the same situation inspires two contrasting spirits. Okay, you have optimist seeing half full and the pessimist seeing half empty. But in Latin America, my friends there, when they see this glass half filled with water and the other half is empty, they say, hey, let's pour some whiskey and some ice cubes. Yes! That is the Latino spirit, Latin American spirit. There was an IAS officer who was a district collector. He had gone on a tour of a rural area in a remote area. And he had a whole day of work with his deputy collector sitting next to him. He was meeting people. People came with all kinds of grievances, complaints, and requirements. So he listened to them and told his deputy, hey, take note, call the agriculture department, call the irrigation department. So after receiving each query, each complaint, each request, he would tell the deputy collector, hey, do this, do that. Then at the end of the day, so the collector wanted to be a bit cheerful. So, okay, so he had a couple of whiskeys and calling his deputy also, come, let's relax and take a break. And both had more than a couple of drinks. So they were a bit high. So when you are high, you talk a bit of nonsense, right? So this, they were talking about various things. And then suddenly this collector asked his deputy, hey, what do you think about sex? Is sex pleasure or work? So what do you think? But the deputy collector had one drink more than the collector. So he was higher. He said, sir, it should be a pleasure. Pleasure? Explain it. So the deputy collector says, sir, if it was work, you would ask me to do it. The preparation for your civil service examination, I guess it's a pleasure for you, right? You don't ask other people to do it. It is not work, it's a pleasure. It's a journey towards a destination. You should enjoy the journey, the way, before reaching your destination. You should make the best use, you must have the best spirit. So the success in life and in the civil service exam is to say cheers and celebrate. If it is like sex, you should enjoy it. You should celebrate it. There is a Latin American song called in Spanish, Celebra la vida, segundo a segundo, nada se guarda, todo se brinda. Anyone understand Spanish here? No, okay. It means celebrate life, second to second. Don't hold anything. Give out everything. Celebrate life. It's a pop song by a singer called Axel from Argentina. So the preparation for your civil service examination, you should do it cheerfully with a positive spirit, with a celebratory spirit. Now, let me tell you a story of a IFS officer. I told you about IAS officer. In the Ministry of External Affairs, there is a foreign secretary. Do you know who is a foreign secretary? He's the head of foreign service. He's the top dog. He's the guy who's the boss. You can reach the maximum position as foreign secretary. So in the late 1960s, we had a foreign secretary called T.N. Call, K-A-U-L, T.N. Call. This guy was a very powerful, colorful, and cheerful character. He was very powerful because he was very close to Mrs. Gandhi. He was also a Kashmiri. So he was more powerful than the foreign minister even. So whatever he said passed. And he was colorful because he had quite a few adventures and misadventures. I don't want to spoil the young, innocent people with those stories. And he was cheerful. He was always fond of cheers. He enjoyed his liquor. So in those days, there used to be a joke in the foreign ministry that Indian diplomacy consisted of 1/3 of T.N. Call, the foreign secretary, 1/3 of protocol, and 1/3 of alcohol. 1/3 of T.N. Call, 1/3 of protocol, and 1/3 of alcohol. Now, 1/3 of T.N. Call, I told you, because he was a very powerful foreign secretary with direct access to the prime minister. Whatever he said was the policy. And the second 1/3 was protocol. Do you know what is protocol? Okay. It is the diplomatic ceremonies, precedents, and order, and to tell who will sit here, who will stand there. And we have a guy called chief of protocol in the ministry. Whenever any foreign president or prime minister comes, you will see this guy climbing up the ladder to the plane and receiving and bringing him down. He's the chief of protocol. So protocol is the diplomatic conventions and procedure you have to follow, most of them. So that is 1/3 of protocol. And 1/3 of alcohol. In diplomatic vocabulary, alcohol is considered as liquid diplomacy. Liquid diplomacy. And alcohol is a diplomatic lubricant. Now, you might have heard of this saying about diplomats. A diplomat is someone who thinks twice before saying nothing. A diplomat is someone who thinks twice before saying nothing. Make the other guy guess. So you need alcohol to loosen the tongue, to clear the throat, and to get over the inhibition. So that's why alcohol is a requirement for practice of diplomacy. That is why in the society, the only people who are privileged to get duty-free liquor, whiskey, wine, you can import from anywhere without paying any customs duty, are the diplomats all over the world, everywhere. And if you join the foreign service, diplomatic service, you don't need to cook. So you get a lot of dinner parties. And you got a lot of cocktail parties. So you got free booze, free food. It's great fun. When I was about to retire from Argentina as ambassador in 2012, I had a heart attack. Just a few months before my retirement. But no one sympathized with me. My Indian friends, they teased me, saying that, yeah, we knew you would get it because you are eating too much of the beefsteak from Argentina. The best beefsteak in the world is from Argentina. Huh? So they said you had eaten too much of it. That's why you got the heart attack. Arteries blocked. But my Argentine friends, they said, hey, no, you should have drank a lot of red wine. That could have cleared all the arteries. So it was a mistake. You didn't drink enough red wine. They have a famous red wine called Malbec. So people are teasing me. But you know what my wife said? Huh? She was speechless. She was shocked and surprised that I had a heart. After 35 years of marriage, I didn't know this guy had a heart. So she was speechless. This is what free booze and free food does to you in diplomatic service. Anyway, this 1/3 tea and call, 1/3 protocol, 1/3 diplomacy, 1/3 alcohol reminded me when I was watching the World Cup last month. Then it occurred to me, World Cup is 1/3 method, 1/3 madness, and 1/3 magical realism. 1/3 method, 1/3 madness, and 1/3 magical realism. Now, what is this method? Method is like you guys prepare for the civil service exam. Each team prepared, trained, got coaching, made strategies, studied the other team, planned. So this was the method used by every team to win. That is 1/3. And what is madness? There was a football mania, craziness, and madness for the last 1 month, both inside the stadium and outside. You saw how the fans in the stadium behaved like crazy people. You're wearing crazy costumes, funny headgear, painting their face, bodies, shouting, screaming, singing, dancing, all like mad. And I don't know if you saw last Tuesday, there were about 4 million Argentines in the parade along with the Messi and his team. They went mad. And still the party is going on in Buenos Aires, non-stop. And it was a madness for the whole world. The final was watched by over 1 billion people. The largest audience for any event in the world. And overall, for the whole World Cup, which lasted for a month, I think almost about 4 billion people watched. There's no other event in the world which has attracted this kind of frenzy, madness, craziness, and mania like the World Cup. And what is this magical realism? This is the magic done by Messi and Mbappe with the ball. Passing, kicking, dribbling, dodging the opponents, and dancing with the ball on the run. That was magical realism. We watch the football. Oh, look serious. Okay. So I watched 1 month, most of the matches. But apart from enjoying, having the pleasure of watching this magical realism of Messi and Mbappe, I was cheering for the underdogs. You know, underdogs? Teams which were not been given a chance to win. They were there, but they had no chance to win. And the top dogs are the guys who thought the World Cup is theirs. Argentina, Brazil, Germany. So I was cheering for the underdogs all the time. And I celebrated whenever the underdog won against the top dog. For example, when Cameroon won against Brazil, the 5-time world champion, I celebrated it. When Japan beat Germany, the 4 times champion, I rejoiced. When Saudi Arabia, the lowest underdog, and when they beat Argentina 2-1, I applauded them. When Tunisia beat France, I cheered for them. But the best one I liked was Morocco, who beat Belgium, Spain, and Portugal. All 3 were 1-time World Cup champions. So they beat all 3 of them. So I was cheering for them. I was talking to a Moroccan friend of mine, congratulating him. And then he told me this story. This Moroccan guy had gone to Madrid. You know Madrid? The capital of Spain. And there the bullfight is famous. So this guy goes to a Spanish restaurant. And when he's eating, he sees in the next table there's a large group of 10 people enjoying the meal and making noise about it, saying, oh, it's delicious, great food, excited. So this Moroccan guy, can I get some water? Yes. Not a cold one, but room temperature. Oh, it's here. Oh, thanks. Huh? No, it's okay. There's no cheers in this, huh? It's just water. Huh? No, that's okay, fine. So, so this guy asked the waiter, calls him and says, hey, what is this? This other table, they are enjoying the meal. They are talking so much about it, making noise. They are excited about it. What is it? Is some special exotic dish? So this guy says, the waiter, the Moroccan, the Spanish waiter tells the Moroccan, Senor means sir, yesterday there was a bullfight. So we had the testicles of the bull. This is the most exotic dish. That's what they are eating. So this guy says, can I also have a plate, please? So the waiter says, no, it's not unlimited. So tomorrow there is going to be a bullfight. So you can come in the night. So you can reserve it. We will serve you. So the next day night he comes, waiting with anxiously for his great, delicious, exotic Spanish food. And the waiter comes and gives him a small plate. Small one. So this guy Asked the waiter, what is this? Yesterday I saw 10 people were eating, but you are giving me a small plate. So the waiter says, Senor, sometimes the bull wins. Senor, sometimes the bull wins. Huh? So that is why I got a small plate. Sometimes the bull wins. Sometimes the underdogs win. Sometimes Morocco wins. Sometimes Saudi Arabia wins. I cheer for all of them. And I cheer for the bull also. Huh? So this World Cup football is also in a way, is like the World Cup football game is somewhat similar to the world power games, world political games played by the big powers and the little underdogs. So you have these top dogs like US, China, Russia dominating, calling the shots. And then you have these underdogs who get beaten, but once in a while they also beat them back. So there also I cheer. You heard of this country called Cuba? Cuba has been sanctioned, punished, isolated, excommunicated by United States for the last 60 years. CIA tried to assassinate Fidel Castro many times. They had a Bay of Pigs invasion. They did everything possible through hook and crook. But Cuba survived. It's continuing as an independent republic. So I cheer for Cuba in international politics. You heard of this country called Venezuela? Venezuela has been under very severe US sanction. They don't allow them to produce and export oil. Oil is the mainstay of the economy. But the Americans are ruthless, so merciless. They have cut off their main source of income. And they went beyond that. They told this president called Maduro, oh, we don't accept you as president. And then they had picked up a guy from the old assembly, legislative assembly, and they said, he is the interim president. He is the real one. So the Americans recognized the guy called Guaido as the interim president. And they said, no, Maduro, you are not a president. We don't recognize you. Okay? And they went further. They even announced $15 million bounty on his head, Maduro, saying that this guy is involved in drug smuggling and some other charges, which is not true. This is unprecedented in international politics, to announce a bounty on the sitting president of another sovereign country. But the Americans are rascals, they do that. But Venezuela has survived. Maduro has survived. Now the other guy, Guaido, is gone now. And Maduro is now being recognized as the president of Venezuela, not only by other countries, even by United States. Okay, so I cheer for Maduro, the underdog. And I also cheered for another underdog called Qatar. You know Qatar? Qatar has a population of about 300,000. Same as the population of my Tanjore town. And of course, they have a total population of about 3 million, but the rest is all expatriates, Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, and Arabs. Such a small country of 300,000 with a population equivalent to Tanjore town. So when they bid in 2010 to host the World Cup, they all laughed at them. They didn't take them seriously. And I said, you're such a small country. You have no stadium. You have no experience. And in any case, you can't have it in July, August because it's so hot there. Players will be roasted. So, it's not possible. But this underdog Qatar, he worked under the table. Okay? And worked on all the executive committee members of FIFA. And got it. And got it against the competition from United States, UK, and other countries. So this underdog, Qatar, managed to get the opportunity to host World Cup against all these big guys. I cheered for them. In 2017, Saudi Arabians were upset with Qatar because they were supporting some Islamic groups. So Saudi Arabia, like them, they are the big boy in the Middle East. So they sanctioned Qatar. They said, we'll cut off diplomatic relations. We will not have trade with you. We will not allow your planes to come. We will not allow any trade, business. And they also co-opted United Arab Emirates, Egypt, and Bahrain. So all these ganged up together and said, we are going to kill you, Qatar, little Qatar underdog. In 2017. But Qatar, and they put conditions like, for example, Al Jazeera is from Qatar. They said, you should stop Al Jazeera, it's propaganda. They said, you are having relations with the Turkey and the Iran. You must dilute these diplomatic relations. So they put all these conditions. So Qatar said, I am an underdog, but I'm going to survive. And they did that. So I cheer for that. Now I cheer for another underdog. It is called India. So I cheer for India and Shankar. You know who is Shankar? The foreign minister. Because when this Ukraine crisis started, the Americans and the Europeans told Shankar, hey, come and join our team. So Shankar said, no, I'm not going to join your team. I want my own team. You are the fifth largest economy, second largest population. You're going to be the third largest economy in a few years. And we are an emerging power. So I'm not joining your team. I'm my own team. And they said, okay, if you don't join our team, at least support our position, support our team. So Shankar said, it depends. If the position you take aligns with our interests, we'll support. If you take something illogical or unreasonable, illegal position like sanctions, no, we don't support you. And they are the powerful guys, Europe and United States. They were bullying him. So I was cheering for underdog Shankar. And this underdog Shankar, when he was put under a lot of pressure, he told the Americans a story. He said, there was this Indian girl from Mumbai. She met an American from Texas. And this guy was in India as a tourist. He fell in love with this Indian girl and proposed marriage to her. Married and taken her to Texas. After reaching Texas, on the first day, On the first day, he calls his Indian wife, "Hey, come and sit here. I'm going to explain to you the 3 rules of our marriage. These are the traditional rules of Texas." So this Indian girl said, "Yes, sir, please tell me." Rule number 1, I'm the boss. Rule number 2, I will go and play football with my friend. I will go to the nightclubs. I will spend whatever time with my friends. No questions. Rule number 3, whenever I come home, it is 12 o'clock in the night or 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, you should keep the food ready, warm on the table, and you should serve. So this Indian Sita, she said, "No problem, sir." So this Texan guy asked, now that I have told you my 3 rules, you have anything? So this Indian girl says, "Sir, I have only one small Indian rule." Go ahead. You see the bedroom there? There will be sex every night at 10 o'clock, whether you are there or not. Only one rule. Simple rule, simple rule. You put 3 rules. You said NPT, no? We can have bombs, you cannot have. You will be in nuclear suppliers group, but you cannot be. Huh? You put all your 3 rules, but you got only one rule. We do what we like. So that is why I cheer for Jai Shankar. And also I cheer for another underdog. That is myself. I had been born and brought up in a disadvantaged, underprivileged background. So I cheer for myself, underdog. And even now I consider myself an underdog. The other day I was in a business school giving a talk to the MBA students. MBA, Masters of Business Administration. I told them, you guys are MBA, but I'm a PRA. So they asked, what? MBA means millionaire, billionaire aspirants. Millionaire, billionaire aspirants. They want to become millionaire celebrity CEOs like Satya Nadella, Sundar Pichai, or Indra Nooyi. Or they want to become billionaire entrepreneurs like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, or Bill Gates, or Shiva Nadar, or Azim Premji, billionaire entrepreneurs. So you guys are millionaire, billionaire aspirants. But I am a PRA, poor retired ambassador. So I don't have crores and millions and billions to give for charities. I only give advice. And that advice is 1/3 of method, 1/3 of madness, and 1/3 of magical realism for success in life and success in your exam. What is this method? காலை எழுந்தவுடன் படிப்பு, பின்பு கனிவு கொடுக்கும் நல்ல பாட்டு, மாலை முழுதும் விளையாட்டு என்று வழக்கப்படுத்திக் கொள்ளும் பாப்பா. Also தம்பி. That is the method. So you have to form according to your own circumstances, your own potential, your own challenges. Now, the method should have three components. You should work your body, you should work your mind, and you should work your heart. 1/3 body, 1/3 mind, 1/3 heart. Okay. Now, what is this body? You have to keep your body fit, healthy. Go to the gym, do a run, yoga, whatever, physical exercise to keep the body healthy and fit. Then it keeps the mind and heart also healthy and fresh and open. The second thing you need to do with the body is to give it food, but nutritious food, good food. You eat a lot of junk food and you go high and then go down. But I found when I was studying, even now, I always felt that a little bit of hunger always helps. If I eat too much, I go to sleep. My mind is dull. It doesn't work. A bit of hunger always keep up your spirit of hunger for success, hunger to succeed, hunger to compete. So hunger in the belly, I found is always good. That reminds me of this book called The World is Flat by Thomas Friedman. Has anyone read? It's about globalization. Okay. It's an American columnist called Thomas Friedman. He wrote this book called The World is Flat. It's about globalization. And the book starts with a golf course in Bangalore, where if you hit a hook, it hits Microsoft. If you hit a slice, it is IBM. That's how the book starts. The World is Flat by Thomas Friedman. In that book, he says, in the olden days, the American parents during dinner time will tell their kids, don't waste food, finish the food. Think of all these millions of poor, hungry Indian kids dying of hunger and malnutrition. So finish your food, don't waste. This was then. But now in the 21st century, they tell the kids during dinner time, hey kids, finish your homework first before the dinner. Otherwise, the Indian kids will take away your jobs. So finish your homework. That is the change in paradigm. So a little bit of hunger always helps. The other thing is your appearance, your look, you should feel good about yourself. Nice dress, groomed. And this one. Feeling good with yourself. You exude confidence and optimism, which elevates your spirit. I'm a fan of a writer called Isabel Allende. It's a Chilean writer. Your House of Spirits, and she's written about dozens of novels. I've read all of them. Isabel Allende. She is now 70s. Even now, she writes professionally, seriously, 8 hours a day. So in the morning, 9 o'clock, you take shower, takes breakfast, puts on the best dress as though she is going to be a TV interview, puts on all these everything. And she goes into her room to work. There's nobody else. She locks the room. She doesn't let anyone come. But she goes for her work within her room alone with all the makeup, with the best dress. Yes, she feels so good with herself. She thinks that she's still Miss Chile or Miss Universe. And that gives her a good feeling. And with that, she works. Once I read the biography of this hotelier called Oberoi. You heard of these Oberoi hotels? Luxury hotels, Indian brand, as good as any Western brand. This Oberoi guy, when he was young, he was looking for a job. He wrote a clerical exam. He failed, he didn't make it. And then he saw this hotel, I think it was called Cecil Hotel or something, in Shimla. It was run by an Englishman. And he saw all these people suited and booted and coming from a kind of five-star hotel. So he wanted to get a job over there. And he applied, no one responded. He called them, they said, no, you are not eligible. What are you? But you know what this guy did? He went to the best tailor, got the best fabrics, got a nice suit made, and then went and stood in front of a pawn shop opposite to this hotel. And then when the English general manager was coming out of the hotel to go out somewhere, this guy goes and corners him and says, sir, you have such a beautiful hotel. And I would like to contribute to the efficiency of the hotel. I'm good in typing shorthand. And the English general manager looks at his dress. Very nice suit. Okay, he takes him in. So the dress, Aadai Badi, Al Badi. So then you dress well and you feel good about yourself. That elevates and boosts your confidence. The second one-third is mind. How do you work your mind? One of the first requirement is memory. You have to remember a lot of things, right? Build up vocabulary. Right? I had gone to a Tamil medium school, so English words I would pick up a few at a time, and I used to. In those days, with the dictionary, I would write the meaning of that, collect about 10 of them, keep it in my pocket. Wherever I go, see this. Okay. And then when I was reading a book, when this word came, I remember, oh, I've seen it somewhere. Oh, it is in my pocket. See, it works in three phases. The first phase is familiarization. When I read this word, when I come across this word, I thought, oh, I know it is in my pocket. And then the second stage is when I understand its meaning and see its context. I understand and appreciate. And in the third stage, I use that word on my own, confidently, with my ideas. But I did this in a very simplistic way, keeping this vocabulary 10 each time in bits of paper. So you have to train your mind, you have to train your memory, whatever way is convenient. I was doing this way. Now you've got smartphones. The second way to work your mind is reading. தொட்டனைத்து ஊரும் மணற்கேணி மாந்தர்க்கு கற்றனைத்து வரும் அறிவு. The more you read, the more stimulated is your mind, more curious you become. And the more curious you become, you search for more knowledge and you connect them. And you see the meaning behind that. And it's not just reading for the sake of reading. Like you read newspaper, there's a lot of bullshit, a lot of fake news, right? So you have to go behind what the newspaper headlines say. or what you get in WhatsApp, all those messages, circulations. So it's called critical reading. So you read, but with a critical approach, with an analytical approach. And the third thing to prepare your mind is to write. Write something every day, a diary, or like I write in my Facebook, I write in LinkedIn. Every day I write something about international affairs, Latin America, or something I read, somebody I met. Because when I write, it clears my own mind. I refine my words. I write something, and tomorrow I go back and edit it, and improvise it. And then the way you develop your own style, your own way of writing, your own style of letting your thought flow into writing. After all, your exam involves a lot of writing, right? And even in your job, it's mostly writing. So the more you write, the more you master not only the vocabulary, but the flow of thought. And the last thing to work your mind is teaching. I studied MSc chemistry and passed with the distinction without understanding anything about chemistry. I passed. I got a job as a teacher. Oh, then I needed to understand. I can't explain to somebody unless I know what it means. Otherwise, earlier I was reading all the equations and writing, and it didn't stay here. I didn't absorb. I didn't understand. I was doing smart work for the exam. But now I taught for 3 years. I was a chemistry lecturer. So that was the time I really understood chemistry. When you have to explain it to somebody, and especially for someone who is lower than you, who has a lower understanding, a younger brother, or you go and explain to your mother what is this Ukraine crisis. If you can explain it to your mother what is Ukraine crisis, you will pass the exam. That is the most difficult one. Or to someone in school, or your peers, or even otherwise when you are with your friends, with your colleagues, with your peers, when you try and explain, you don't have to teach. When you explain, your mind becomes clear and you understand things better. So you should make use of every opportunity to teach somebody. Any victim available. You make them understand. Or it could be your point of view. That is how you work your mind. And I said you have to work your heart. Because, reading books, subjects, being serious all the time makes you very dull. So you have to give some space to your heart. Listen to a song, see a movie, go to the beach, go to the top of the mountain. You get a feeling, you get an emotion, which doesn't come from reading about governance or about chemistry. It's a totally different feeling. So you should let your heart be stimulated and inspired. Or you read autobiographies, biographies of people, which inspires. And the other thing, how you work your heart is fall in love. Very simple, right? I said something right? and be in the company of people who are cheerful, positive, who admire you or whom you admire. They make you feel good. They are well wishers. They have good thoughts for you. That makes your heart warm, feel good. Okay, so that is method. So I have covered 1/3. That is the method. Now I go to the madness. 1/3 madness. What is madness? வெண்ணிலவை தொட்டு முத்தமிட ஆசை, வானவில்லை கொஞ்சம் குடுத்திக்கொள்ள ஆசை, சின்ன சின்ன ஆசை, சிறகடிக்கும் ஆசை. So don't be serious. Take a break. Let your hair down. Don't wear makeup. Huh? Yes, let your imagination carry you. Have dreams, have delusions, have fantasies. Have sinna sinna asai, siragadikum asai. That is madness. Because otherwise, if you are too serious, and you get bogged, you get saturated, and it overwhelms you. And this madness is also required, especially for underdogs. Because the underdogs like Morocco or Cameroon, if they do all the calculations, they will not go to World Cup. Right? If I had done all the calculations about my reality, my circumstances, I wouldn't have aspired for the civil service. So if you are realistic, then your mind is not allowed to think big. That's why you need some craziness, some madness. So you need to be mad. You need to have sinna sinna asai. The other is magical realism. Magical realism is connecting the method with the madness. You heard of magical realism? Magical realism is a kind of literature, and it's a kind of signature genre of Latin American literature. You heard of this writer called Gabriel Garcia Marquez? Anyone? I'm the only Latino here. Okay, good, there's somebody. Gabriel Garcia Marquez, he won Nobel Prize. He wrote this book called 100 Years of Solitude. But what I liked in his book, the book I liked is called Love at the Time of Cholera. I thought, what kind of funny title is this? Love and Cholera. But that's one of the most beautiful book I ever read. So magical realism is blurring the line between fantasy and reality, between fact and fiction. But for our purposes, magical realism is connecting the method and the madness. It's a kind of methodical madness or madness in method. Because if you are mad, then you go crazy. Or if you are methodical, you remain dull. Okay? So you have to connect them. You have to find the equilibrium. You have to find the mix. I'll give you an example. You heard of this country, Cuba. You heard, right? In Cuba, there were 3 leaders: Fidel Castro, Raul Castro, Che Guevara. 3 top leaders of Cuba. Now, this Che Guevara is 100% madness. Completely crazy guy. He was an Argentine. He got the spirit of revolution. He wanted to fight. He was looking for a fight. He went to Guatemala and then went to Cuba and fought and won. But the guy was absolutely crazy in a positive way. He was not after power. He was not after money. He was made a minister. He was made central bank governor. He was not interested in positions or anything. He was a real revolutionary. Effectively his madness with realism. And that's how he became an inspiration as a successful example of revolution in the history of the world for about 60 years. Survived United States. But poor Che Guevara died. He died young as a martyr. But Fidel Castro combined this magic and realism, and he became one of the iconic leaders of the world. So that is magical realism. There are also other people like Simon Bolivar, have you heard? The liberator of South America. He was a visionary. Napoleon, you would have read a story. Napoleon was a great general, warrior, strategy maker, but at the same time, he was romantic. He had a big vision, and right in the middle of the war, when there is a campaign going on in his tent, he would discuss philosophy with the intellectuals. And he drew up the constitution for France. And he had so many interests and talents, but he kept them everything in separate compartments. The evening would be cheers, when the morning would be warrior. So he had effective combination. And even among our own people, two people I admire greatly is one is Sridharan, the guy called the Metro Man, and Varghese Kurian is called the Milkman. You heard of them? Huh? Sridharan is an engineer. He was in the Indian Railway Service. He's called as the Metro Man because he built Delhi Metro, a multi-billion-dollar project. But it was not just a project. This guy, he created a revolution in India and in the developing countries. Because in India, when you say a flyover, the money also flies, right? There's a lot of corruption. This is the first largest project, the Delhi Metro, first largest project in India, which was done with zero corruption, under budget, in time. No politician ever dared to interfere anything. This guy, although he did this as a retired guy, huh, after retiring from the service, but he created this magic, this aura, saying that Delhi Metro project is corruption free, no political interference. It'll be done with the best technology in time under the budget. This is one of the most inspiring things, not only in the history of India, but among the developing world, where people think that you can't do anything without doing this, right? So people always make money in all the projects, but this is the first largest project. Similarly, Varghese Kurian, when he took over the Anand Dairy Corporation, India was an importer of milk powder. And not only importer, but we had no money. We begged the United States and they gave us some free milk powder in the 1970s. But this guy single-handedly caused a milk revolution, what's called a white revolution in India. Today, India is the largest producer of milk in the world. And we export cheese and milk products to European Union. And you see in supermarkets in Walmart in United States and Singapore and Dubai. And he did this not by like Adanis or Ambanis, but he worked with the women in the villages who had 1 or 2 cows, 3 or 4 buffaloes. He worked with them and collected milk and sent it to the cities, processed them, and made a viable business model. And the money went to the hands of these women in the villages who don't do cheers, right? They spend it on the education of their daughters and sons. Okay? They don't let their husband steal the money. Okay? This is one of the greatest revolutions which has happened in India, thanks to this milkman Kurian. He did this magic, he had the vision, but at the same time, he was very practical. He didn't let any politicians intervene. He didn't let any corruption. And he created a whole genre of leaders. And the place where he did this revolution, where he started, it's in Gujarat. Gujarat is all business, right? And in that place where there are vested interests, the businessmen, they wouldn't let a cooperative to succeed. This guy fought against them and succeeded and made a great success out of it for the whole of India. So that is magical realism. So my advice to all of you is 1/3 of method, 1/3 of madness, and 1/3 of magical realism. And remember, sometimes the bull wins. Thank you. Oh, yeah. You can ask me questions or comment on anything I said. You are welcome. Well, you can take out a mask if you want to ask a question. Any comment? Oh, I call myself as an accidental ambassador. I became an ambassador by sheer ignorance. I didn't know what I was doing. You see, as I told you, I was an underdog. Now, please sit down. And I was born in a village in a poor family. My family had half an acre. And my father's both are illiterate, but my father could read when it is written as wine shop, or you can read the rummy cards. Okay, so they couldn't. I have two brothers, so they couldn't manage three kids. They sent me when I was 3.5 years old to my uncle who had no children in another village near Tanjavur, in a village called Raramuthirai. So I was an underdog in the village where I was born, as not only a poor kid, but as the son of the guy who's a drunkard and the one who loses money in the cards. That's how they remembered my father. So I went to my uncle. My uncle had 7 acres of land, and he wanted me to follow Urdundu Varvare Varvar. So he wanted me to plow the land. And I was put in a village school there, in the Raramuthirai school. And when I was admitted in the school, my parents were not there. They were in another village, which is 40 kilometers near Trichy. So the teacher did not even ask my uncle or aunt. My aunt didn't come. My uncle came, but he was outside. So the teacher, he gave me approximately a date of birth. So my date of birth is fake. Is what the teacher gave me. Approximately 5 years. And also he gave me my name also. Normally in our village, you have Munuswami, Karpuswami, Kripaya, Viraya. That's the kind of song names. But I got this name called Vishwanathan, which is unusual in our village. There is no Vishwanathans in that village. So the teacher gave me a fake date of birth and a fake name also. Okay. And I did 5 years of schooling in the village. Then it was only elementary school. So then I had to go for a higher elementary school to another town called, bigger village called Mariamman Koil, near Tanjavur. 4 kilometers from my place. So walk every day with the other kids. And in the Raramuthirai village, I had this underdog feeling because people thought I was a poor kid who has been adopted. So I'm not a native. I'm a guy who lives on the mercy of my uncle. So I felt like an underdog. Then when I went to this Mariamman Koil school, I saw kids were wearing chappals, wearing better shirts. I didn't wear a chappal till I went to college. And so I survived. And the higher elementary school became a high school, fortunately. And we were in the first batch. And we couldn't write the exam in our own school because it's small. We were only 18 students. We had to go to Tanjavur town to write the exam. And in our class of 18, there were 4 or 5 guys who were experienced. They had written SSLC exam and failed a couple of times. And so we, the freshers, we all went to them and said, hey guys, you've got experience. Now tell us, you are our gurus. Please advise, how do we write this exam? How do we prepare? So they said, don't worry. First time you will fail. Second time, you start understanding what is the exam, how much. And with luck, third time you might pass. But fortunately, I passed, luckily. And then I went to college, a college called Pundi Pushpam College. It's 4 kilometers to the east. I had to go early in the morning with the sun, walking 4 kilometers after working in the fields, helping my uncle. And normally I was late, I would run. And being a short boy, I was always made to sit in the front row. And they had a fan, they had a lecturer. In the first classes, I always slept. But I mastered the art of sleeping, concealing. The lecturer, he was always looking at the boys in the back benches. He wouldn't look at the front bench. So I would just sit like this and sleep. And if you see my notes, it would start with proper like this, and then they will all join together. So after the class, then my friends, they helped me out with what the teacher taught me. And I had the underdog complex in the PUC and BSc over there. Although I had a what do you call it, slipper, Hawaii chapel, flip flop. But I saw the guys wearing shoes, and they're wearing bell bottom trousers, they're having long hair and speaking English. I had gone from a Tamil medium. I go and sit in that maths class. I took maths, physics, chemistry. I took that subject because in our village there was a guy who had failed in maths, physics, chemistry, and his books were available. So I took that. So I got the first class. The maths lecturer comes and asks, "Who are the guys here who have not done algebra, geometry in the high school?" Me and another guy. He said. He raised our hand. So the lecturer said, "Get up. If you don't have high school algebra, geometry, you cannot follow what we teach." It's too late. I survived. I passed the maths exam. Okay. And then after that, then one of our lecturers, he was very kind. In one of the monthly tests in the pre-university, accidentally I got first mark. Because other guys didn't take it seriously. So I wrote well. And so he took pity on me, and he saw this little boy from the village getting first mark. So he called me as Mr. First Mark. He's a chemistry lecturer. So in every class, first thing, the roll call, he would say Mr. First Mark. No, I felt big. I felt taller. And he said after I finished my BSc, I should go to MSc, I should study. So I came to Chennai. This is Chennai. Huh? I went to Pachibas College, the rowdiest college. And there I found the other classmates, they're all speaking English, better English, better dressed, more sophisticated. So again, I felt like an underdog. Then there was an accident. When in those days when you study MSc chemistry or MSc, you had to make a presentation for an hour about any subject. And in our college, our professor was also principal. He was a very powerful figure. So everyone was afraid of him. Even the staff, the lecturers, they were afraid of him. And he was a chemistry professor, Dr. Shanmuganath. So he would sit in the first seminar. We used to have every month. So first seminar, he would sit and listen to the entire presentation. So people asked, who will give the first presentation? Everyone was hiding. And I was a fool. Out of sheer ignorance, foolishness, I raised my hand. The other guys looked at me and said, poor guy, they pitied me. And so I had to give the first presentation. So then I used my method and madness and magical realism. I made one of the best presentations. And the professor was very impressed. So afterwards, when there was a vacancy for a lecturer, so I went to him. Sure, he gave me the job. Because you are the mad guy who gave the first presentation. Foolish guy. Huh? I was absolutely foolish. All my classmates, they were all. Huh? But because of this foolishness and madness, I got the job. So I joined as a lecturer. And as I told you, I learned some chemistry also while teaching. And there was a classmate of mine who had written this exam, civil service exam, once didn't make it, and he was preparing for it. So in the staff room, he would always sit in a corner and seriously reading. So I wanted to ask him, what are you doing? No, I'm preparing for civil service exam. And I also joined. Oh, yes. So I joined him and said, okay. So he guided me. And then we wrote the exam, but all my other colleagues in the staff room, they are all laughing. Oh, look at these guys. They want to become IAS. Huh? And accidentally, I got selected. Huh? I couldn't believe. So when I got selected, then we had to go for an interview to Delhi, to UPSC. Okay. And we had never been to Delhi. So we got a suit made for an interview in June. So hot. We were like pigs wearing a tie. I didn't know how to wear it. But what we did was, we had three guys. This guy also got selected, my friend and colleague, and one more guy. Because we didn't know anything about Delhi, so the other guy, third guy, he said, oh, I have contacts there, arrange accommodation. So we'll go. And we had some coaching for the interview called Rao's IAS Study Circle in those days. We went there. But the first thing we did was, we didn't go to the coaching center. We did sightseeing. We saw all of Delhi, Red Fort. We went to Taj Mahal because we may not come back. Better to see it. So we did all the sightseeing. Then I did the interview. But in the coaching, I had a very interesting experience because this Rao is a very eminent guy. He would ask me some questions. I would shake my head. But he didn't know whether I was saying yes or no. Huh? And then I got selected again, accidentally, unexpectedly. So then I joined, I went to Missouri training. And anyway, before going to Missouri, I told a friend that, I had never in my life met and shook hands with the IAS officer. Never. So I want to see one before I go on. So he took me to the collector in Madras. Her name was, she was the collector of Madras, Rati Vinay Jha. Later she became the tourism secretary. And I was ushered into her chamber. She had a big table. And so she congratulated me and asked, what service are you joining? I said, foreign service. What? You come, country bumpkin, come from a village. You have no sophistication. You have no cosmopolitan outlook. A small place. You should have joined IAS. But you know why I joined IFS? Because I didn't use my brain. In the prospectus, the application form, in the prospectus, they gave first Indian Foreign Service, then IAS, then Income Tax Service and all. So when they asked for my preference, I put it in the same way. I didn't use my brain. In those days, for foreign service, you needed to get more marks in the interview. Something like 300 for IAS, 200. But I was totally foolish. I was ignorant about it. So whatever was there in the prospectus, I put in the same way. I told this madam, this is what I did. That's how. Can I change it now? I said, no, you can't change it. So I joined the foreign service. And then when I joined the foreign service, and I found when I went to Missouri, there were all these guys from big families, sons and daughters of IAS officers, talking a different language, very sophisticated, cosmopolitan. I became an underdog. Then I went abroad and diplomatic posting. I didn't know how to say cheers. I learned. So that's how I went as underdog from Alangudi Mahajanam to Argentina. All accidental, all foolishness, madness. You got it? Yeah, please. Of course, the most important thing is cheers. You have parties every day, your cocktail parties, dinner parties. You get free food, free booze. Who doesn't want it? Huh? So evening comes, there's cheers. And in the morning, when you go to meet somebody or foreign minister or president or prime minister, they call you Your Excellency. So your ego gets boosted. Huh? Your Excellency. So you live from Your Excellency to cheers. In between, do some work. But the thing which I liked about is that, you see, it's you change countries every 3 years. You go to a new country. So you have to learn, adapt yourself, adjust yourself, manage your family, and make friends and do things and succeed. So since I'm accident prone and since I'm foolish, I do mad things. So every time I get a new posting, I know, this time I'm going to do it right. So I'm going to be a better guy. So I reinvent myself. So every 3 years, you get an opportunity to reinvent yourself. A new country, a new atmosphere, new culture. So, like you say 7 reincarnations, I think I got 9 reincarnations. And but my latest reincarnation is as a Latin America specialist. I'm completely mad about Latin America. I use the word mad because, you see, madness is something of an imbalance. You put more emphasis, excess dependence, surrender yourself. Like when you're in love, you say, oh, I am mad for you. I am crazy for you. I can't live without you. Huh? So I mean, this is a surrender of your heart, surrender of your sovereignty. Huh? And that's a great sacrifice. That is possible only when you are mad. Normal, reasonable, rational people, they don't do this. Okay. So this madness, I have in the since 1996, I was posted in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and I just fell in love with Copacabana and Ipanema. And I specialized in Latin America. I speak Spanish, I speak Portuguese. I write blogs. It's called Latin American Affairs, blogspot.com. I have a website and I written books and I give lectures in CII and FICCI and I enjoy. If people ask me to come and talk about Ukraine, I said no. I talk only about Argentina, about Messi. So I have chosen to be mad, but in a methodical way, on one area where there are very few people in India who know everything. Okay, I follow politics, culture, literature, music, movies, everything. So I give consultancies to companies, Indian companies which do business in Latin America. Uh, I write articles in the media, and I send it to our policymakers in the foreign office, So I'm enjoying my madness. Anything else? Okay. Thank you very much. All the best.